Morning guys, I'm starting again because I was videoing the wrong way around before. Lots of you have sent messages to say that you weren't sure about how to do the addition and the subtraction with your twos. Thank you for that. It's really helpful for us to know what's going to be useful for you at home. So I'm going to go over some of those addition strategies today, and then maybe we'll do some subtraction later in the week or next week because it's Friday. So we'll start. The problem that we find that comes when we're trying to go over the tens boundary, that's always the trickier bit. So I've got my tens frames here. I hope you can see them. I've got my tens frame, and we're going to do some work with those this morning because they're really helpful for seeing us go over the tens boundary. So we've got 7, and on my other tens frame I've got 5. Okay, so what I'm hoping your children will be noticing immediately is that 7 add 5 is going to take you over the tens boundary. They should know that their number bonds is 7 add 3, so 7 add 5 must take you over the tens boundary. Okay, and with the tens frames here we can see really clearly that we've got this 3 to fill. Okay, so the best way of doing this, the easiest way, is breaking up this number to fill up this one first to get to 10 and then adding on the rest. So the children are really familiar with doing this, but we move across 3 from the 5 to rearrange our number into 10 add 2 because they're really good at place value and they have a good understanding of what 10 add 2 is. So what we've actually done is we've partitioned our 5 into 3 because these two go together to make 10 and 2 more. Okay, so the children should be really familiar with this model for 1-digit numbers going over the tens boundary. So we've rearranged our number sentence really into 10 add 2, and because they're so good at understanding that that 2 just slots into the units place, the ones place, sorry, not units, ones place there, we know that our answer to that is 12. Okay, so we're going to do another one of those just to make sure we really understand that. Okay, so I'm going to change my numbers on my tens frame. Let's have 6 add 5. Okay, so we've got 6 add 5. Again, hopefully your children will see immediately that this is more than 4. 6 and 4 make 10, so we're going over the tens boundary. So we're going to say with 6, what do we need to make it up to 10? We need 4. So we know immediately that we're going to split that into 4 and whatever's left over from the 5, which is 1. Okay, so we would move, if we were using our tens frame, we would move 4 of them over, and we have rearranged our number sentence now into 10 add 1 is equal to 1, 10, 1 or 11. 1, 10, 1 is our way of dual counting. The children in year 2 are really good at this. Ask them about it, they'll be able to tell you. Okay. Right. So this is how, so a bit of practice on this would be really useful. So any 2 numbers that are going to add up to more than 10, get them practicing splitting it up into the number bond that goes with the biggest number, not the first number, the biggest number, splitting up the smallest number into that part that goes with it and whatever else is left over. Okay? I should have shown you one with where the number wasn't first, but it doesn't make any difference. Okay. Right. So we're going to move on now to looking at adding up 2 2-digit numbers. Okay, so if we have something like this, there is something that I always ask our children to look for first. Hopefully they're shouting it at the camera right now. I ask them to look to see if our ones numbers go over the tens boundary. Okay, so our 1 numbers here do not go over the tens boundary. So this is quite a simple addition. Okay, if they want to, they could draw it out. Here is our 10 and 2 ones plus 1 10 and 5 extra ones. We encourage them to draw, this is called base 10, we encourage them to draw that a lot. Okay, so they can see quite quickly then that this is going to be equal to 2 10s, and 5, 6, 7 extra 1s. Okay, so our answer is 2 10s, 7, 27. Okay, so when our numbers don't go over the tens boundary, this is quite simple to do, getting the tens together, getting the ones together. Okay, so the children should be quite familiar with doing that. That's no problem, hopefully. So please do some practice of those ones. The key is there that the ones numbers do not go over the tens boundary. Okay, but when they do, we need to use a combination of the two approaches. Okay, so let's alter those numbers. Let's not make it 12 anymore. Let's make it 15. Oopsie. 15, add 17. Okay, so here our biggest number is second. I'm going to leave this one alone. Okay, I'm going to leave it alone. Keep it whole. Okay, but we're going to break up this number into parts to make it easier to add. All right? So, first of all, I'm going to say, right, I've got a 10. Sorry. 1 10. And then I'm going to look at how I want to break up my 5 of my 15. Okay? So, what do we know goes with 7? Sorry. How am I going to break up the 5 to get the 7 into up to a multiple of 10? That's what we're looking at first. Okay, so I know that 7 add 3 is equal to 10. So I'm going to split my 5 into 3 and whatever's left over, which is 2. So our 15 has been partitioned, broken up into 10 and 3 and 2. Okay, this is going to make this much easier to add now. So I'm going to start with my 17 because that's what I've got whole here. Okay, so 17, and I'm going to add my 3 first because that gets me up to a nice multiple of 10. Lovely, lovely, 20. Easy peasy. Okay? Then, it doesn't matter which of these you add next. I quite like to do all the ones first. It just gets all the ones out of the way. So I'm going to do 20, add 2 is equal to 22. Done with that. And then I can add my 10s. 22, add 10 is equal to 32. Now I know this seems like a slightly long-winded way of doing it, but actually it's the way lots of us do it in our head. We just take whatever we need from there to get that to the next multiple of 10, and then we add the rest on. This seems like a really slow way of doing it, but actually it is the strategy that most of us are using in our head most of the time. Okay, I'm going to do another example with you. I can't remember any of the exact examples that were on the paper that lots of you asked about, but let's give this one a go. Okay. Now, I'm going to do it the way we did it before, but then I'm going to talk to you about another method that we could do for this one. Okay, so 32 is my biggest number. I'm going to leave that one alone. Okay, I don't want to mess with that. Right, so let's partition this one out. Straight away I'm going to put the 20 over here, the 2 10s, and then what goes with 2 to get me to 10? What do I need to put with 2? I need to put 8 with 2, and what's left over of the 9, that'll be a 1. Okay, so I'm going to go 32, add my 8, gets me to 40. Okay, so I'm done with the 8. Then I'm going to put my 1 on, 40, add 1 is equal to 41. Done with that, and then my 20. 41, add 20 is equal to 61. Okay, so that is the method that we've done. We call it bridging. It bridges through a multiple of 10 and then puts the rest on it. Okay, so the other thing we could do really quickly here, and if your children are confident to do that, it's an even better strategy, is that actually we can see that that would be 30 if we just moved 1 over. It's all about the children being able to rearrange the numbers and be comfortable with that. Okay, so I could just rearrange it so that it was 31, add 30. All I've done is popped one of those onto there, and then very quickly you can see that these can go together to make 6 lots of 10 and 1. So that's a much quicker method, but your children need to be confident that they can just rearrange those numbers. That's all we're doing. We're moving the numbers around to make them easier to add together. Okay, I hope that's clear. Please, 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 my children, send me any messages that you need to, or your parents, so that I can help you through any more of that. Anybody else who's looking at it, I hope it was helpful. Okay, thanks, bye. Sorry everyone, when I watched it back I realised that you couldn't see the top of the board and I cut off the other strategy. What we were saying is if your children are really confident with the numbers here, the quickest way of doing this would be to move one of the 32 over there to make it 30. So we would move the numbers around to make the sum that much easier, and then we could just see that the 3 tens and 3 tens would make 6 tens, and 1 1 and 0 ones would be that. Okay, so that was the even quicker strategy if they were comfortable doing that. Okay, thanks. Just a quick extra note to say, I'm aware that people don't have tens frames at home. Your children don't need to use them, but they are quite a good visual model. And Isaac and I made one this morning out of a box of eggs that was it had 12 eggs in, and I've just cut 2 off the end. We've got another one that I'm just going to empty the eggs out of so that we can have 2 tens frames to use. Okay, bye.